Hi there guys, I hope you are having a good day. Grab yourself a cup of tea and let's talk some boxing. Now Tyson Fury has had some choice words about Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn. Yes, it's happened again. Now Anthony Joshua said that he would smoke Tyson Fury, and this was Tyson Fury's response. AJ couldn't smoke a cigarette, never mind the Gypsy King. I will absolutely annihilate that bodybuilder. That's why Eddie Hearn's been steering around me for the past 10 years. Now he also had this to say about Eddie Hearn. What has he ever achieved in his life? He goes around like he's a champion, but he ain't. He's just a businessman. There is plenty of them, but there's only one real heavyweight champion, and that's me. So there we go, that is what Tyson Fury has said about the pair of them, Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn. Now, the Eddie Hearn comments, that doesn't really matter. It's not going to bother Eddie Hearn all that much at all, to be honest, because nothing really gets to him. He still does his own thing, and Tyson Fury isn't going to be fighting him, but he will be fighting Anthony Joshua, at least you would hope. Now, it is crazy how he says Eddie Hearn has been steering AJ around him for 10 years, when there was an agreement where they were going to fight in August, and the reason why it didn't happen was on Tyson Fury's end. Whether it was Tyson Fury's fault or not, it was still on his end, and that was the reason why the fight did not take place. So he cannot say that Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn are steering around him, they are avoiding him, because they had everything in place. In the current climate, or even when it was worse than it is now, they still managed to pull off agreeing a site deal, putting everything in place, getting an exception to their mandatory. That was all sorted out. And yet, it was the Wilder situation that probably could have been sorted in December. That was the reason why Undisputed did not take place. And there was no steering around Tyson Fury. Now, I don't want to take sides, but you have to look at the facts. The facts are there for us to see. So if Tyson Fury is going to make comments like that and claims, then he needs to try and back them up some way. There is no way he can. He cannot say that they have been avoiding him when it seems like they are the ones who have continuously tried to make the contest. I mean, Eddie Hearn was the one working behind the scenes to secure it. He did. But then things fell apart. What were Tyson Fury's managers and promoters doing? Were they going out of their way to try and make the contest? No, they were making excuses as to why they believe it won't happen, and they were negative consistently in the build-up to those negotiations and when they were taking place. So Eddie Hearn in some ways was between a rock and a hard place, because no matter what he did, even securing the fight, the site deal, the exceptions, everything in place, it still didn't happen. And you have to wonder if it ever will. I hope it does, but I'm not entirely convinced, and I don't think many fans will be, that it's going to take place. I mean, look at Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford. That one is highly unlikely to ever happen as well. I think a lot of it does boil down to the politics, the managers, the promoters, and different platforms. It's very difficult to make those kind of contests. I mean, if you look at Josh Taylor, Jose Ramirez, that fight would never have happened if they were on different platforms with rival promoters. Why would it? Because those promoters don't want their champion to lose their belts, and then they've lost the world champion on their broadcasting system. So they don't want that to happen and to lose those belts to a rival broadcaster or promoter. Politics again, getting in the way of the big fights. I don't know why Tyson Fury and other fighters, even like Deontay Wilder, they seem to resort to, he's ducking, he doesn't want the fight, they don't want the fight, they're trying to steer him away. That seems to be where they go to straight away. AJ doesn't do that, which is strange because AJ has been the one to take on the likes of Ruiz, he's taking on Usyk next, Joe Parker, Dillian White, Vladimir Klitschko, Pulev. Those fights have happened with genuine top 10 heavyweights, and he hasn't made the claim that this fight is avoiding him, that fight is avoiding him, they don't want it. Yet, if you look at the resume of Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, they haven't been in there with consistent top 10 heavyweights back to back. I mean, Tyson Fury hasn't yet defended a world championship belt. He's won them, but he needs to defend them. And I think we do all want to see Tyson Fury in there with the likes of an Usyk, a Ruiz. Those kind of fighters test himself with top 10 heavyweights. I believe that he's capable of beating Ruiz. He's capable of beating Joseph Parker. But unless you see it in the ring, then we won't really know for sure. And when it comes to these claims of them steering Anthony Joshua around him and ducking him, you have to wonder, is that because Tyson Fury feels like people think he is ducking Anthony Joshua, so he thinks everyone says Tyson Fury never wanted to fight AJ, he is the reason why Undisputed did not happen, he doesn't want to get in there and get defeated by AJ in an Undisputed fight, so therefore he tries to turn the tables and say, hang on a minute, it's not me who's ducking, it's them, they don't want to fight me because they know they will lose. It's almost like a defense mechanism. I don't believe that Anthony Joshua is ducking Tyson Fury. If he was, he would not have signed to do the fight. I don't even really believe Tyson Fury is ducking Anthony Joshua. Maybe there is something going on behind the scenes, but that has nothing to do with the fighters not wanting to take the contest. Other things are at play, and the question is, will the fight ever happen? It doesn't really matter what has happened in the past now, because it's in the past, you cannot change it. But if Anthony Joshua beats Usyk, which is coming up very soon, 25th of this month, so that is coming around, it came up quite quickly actually, and October 9th, Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder, which we haven't really heard much about during the build-up, so you're going to worry about pay-per-view buys and how that event will do when it comes to the commercial side as well, considering what happened last time and the build-up they are getting this time. I mean, many people will forget about it. I did just then, to be honest, until I had to remember the date. So anyway, whatever happens with those two fights when we go forward into 2022, because I don't believe Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua will fight again in 2021. Going into 2022, what position will we be in? It doesn't necessarily matter if Tyson Fury believes that AJ has been steered around him. It doesn't matter even if AJ thinks that Tyson Fury is ducking him. What matters is, do they sign on the dotted line when they are able to fight one another and actually take the fight? If it happens, when it happens, where it happens. That is the important thing. Can they pull it off in 2022? That's what I want to hear about, not who was ducking who. Anyway, guys, what are your thoughts on this? Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below. Also leave a like and grab that subscribe button. Thanks, guys.